have to keep going and be on time. President Bonda is here. I wasn't here earlier. I don't know if you were recognized, but I want to recognize you. Thank you again so much for being here. And what you have to say is a highlight, and you have your wonderful Malawi dress on today, even more so. Thank you for gracing us with your presence and that. So we are next going to change course a little bit, and we have a presentation by John Bryant from Kellogg, a new partner with us. I had a problem. I didn't know what to do about introducing Mr. Bryant. I'd never met him before. And then I realized I have a member of our Council of Advisors, Cynthia Milligan, who is on the Kellogg Foundation board, knows Kellogg well. So I called up Cynthia and said, would you be willing to do this? So let me invite Cynthia Milligan, John Bryant, please come to the stage. And, I get members of my council advisors in little unusual ways. Right after 9/11 in 2001, we were at a U.S. Chamber event, and I was talking to Cynthia, and after about 10 minutes, I said, this is a brilliant woman. She's the Dean of Business at Nebraska, would bring a whole other element to us. John Ruan III knew her, and so she's been at the World Food Prize almost as long as I have. Cynthia, thank you so much for being here this morning. Over to you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the fulsome comments, Ken. We are very delighted this morning and pleased to have John Bryant, the CEO and chairman of the Kellogg Company. I would assume that there is no one in this room who does not know the Kellogg Company or its products. The company has products marketed in more than 180 countries. It has a manufacturing presence in 20 countries, and it has employees around the world, 33,000 of them, located around the world. Each of you has eaten and hopefully enjoyed one of the wonderful Kellogg's brands of cereals, cookies, crackers, and other snacks and frozen foods such as Corn Flakes, Special K, Frosted Flakes, Zucaritas, Rice Krispies, Pringles, Keebler cookies, Cheez-Its, Eggo waffles, Kashi, Bear Naked, Stretch Island, Nutri-Grain, and their vegetarian frozen line, Morningstar Farms, and Garden Burger, and frankly, that's not the whole list. The Kellogg Company has a very proud history. It was founded 110 years ago by W.K. Kellogg, who was very concerned about healthy breakfast choices. He gave his stock in the company to a foundation which bears his name, the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, and that foundation is today one of the largest foundations in the United States. It is also still the largest shareholder of the Kellogg Company. So the company is very proud that a significant percentage of its distributed earnings go to helping young children thrive in their families and communities around the world through the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. In addition, the company itself has a philanthropic activity, which one of those is a reason that John is here today and wants to speak about it. John Bryant, a fabulous CEO, joined the company in 1998. He's held several titles, including Chief Financial Officer, President of North America, President of International, and Chief Operating Officer before being made Chairman and CEO. He's a native of Australia, graduate of the Australian National University, has his MBA from Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. He's a trustee of the W.K. Kellogg Foundation Trust, which holds all the stock, and he is on the board of Catalyst, on the Consumer Goods Forum, and of Macy's. John, thank you very much. You honor us by your presence.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be here this morning. I thought the panel discussion earlier was fantastic. Hopefully I can link some of the comments earlier today back to what role can a company like Kellogg play in making a difference. And I can't think of a better person than Cynthia to introduce our discussion this morning. Cynthia is both a trustee of the Kellogg Foundation a board member of the Kellogg Company, and the chair of our Social Responsibility and Public Policy Committee of the company. And so a lot of what you're going to hear and see this morning is an area that her committee oversees and helps us with to have an impact. So as Cynthia said, we're very fortunate as a company to have Mr. Kellogg as our founder. Mr. Kellogg gave virtually all of his wealth away to the Kellogg Foundation, which today is one of the largest charities in the world and owns nearly 20% of the Kellogg Company. Given that legacy, it's not surprising that this sense of philanthropy and giving back permeates the culture of our company and attracts the sort of employees to our company who want to make a difference, who want to have a positive impact on the world around us. So how do we do that? What role can a food company have? Two obvious areas. One is hunger. We make food. How do we get to people who need it the most, when and where they need it? Back in 2013, we started a program called Breakfast for Better Days. As part of that program, we committed to giving away 1 billion servings of food by 2016. I'm happy to say there were over 1.7 billion servings of food today. We do that through a series of food banks around the world. The second key area we work in is sustainability. We have to be able to feed people today and tomorrow. The global food supply chain is surprisingly fragile. We've seen situations in the last several years where we had droughts in a number of places around the world, and the rice crop, particularly medium grain rice, came under pressure. The Egyptian government closed their borders and didn't allow the export of rice. That closed down our ability to make Rice Krispies in Europe. We were getting that rice from Egypt. We have an opportunity to work back through our extended supply chain, the end-to-end supply chain, to improve the resilience of that supply chain. Most of that work occurs back on the farm. Working with farmers to implement climate-smart agricultural practices, to improve their yields, and to improve their incomes. As we think about sustainability, to be sustainable, it must be environmentally sustainable, and it must be economically sustainable. It has to work for the farmer if we expect them to implement the changes in the programs. I have a short video here, which I'm going to show you in a minute, that talks about what we're going to do as we go forward. But this morning, we're making a new commitment. We're making a commitment by 2025 that we'll work to create 3 billion better days through our Breakfast for Better Days program. This is through an even larger hunger program, through working even more in the area of sustainability and some other areas as well, which I think links into what the panelists were talking about this morning. So if we could run that video, please.
Kellogg has always believed that a better start leads to a better day. That's how it all began more than a century ago, with a simple flake. And we still believe in the power of breakfast today. In 2013, we started Breakfast for Better Days to help feed as many people as possible all over the world, with a special focus on helping hungry children start their school day with a full stomach, ready to learn. We've already surpassed our original goals. But there's more work to do and more people we can reach. That's why we're committing to creating 3 billion more better days for people around the world. Imagine that, 3 billion better days for our neighbors, our friends, our family, our children. First, we're setting even higher goals around food donations. And in countries where food banks don't currently exist, we're helping to create them. We'll also continue expanding our breakfast programs into schools and classrooms because we already know it's making a difference. But to truly address food security, we must also feed potential through sustainable agriculture. And so, we're working with farmers to help improve their quality of life and help them produce more food while using fewer natural resources. our employees are lending their hands to provide better days. And we're asking for your help too. We believe in the impact our commitments can provide because nourishing families so they can flourish and thrive is our purpose. It is what we do and why we do it. But we also know we can have an even more powerful impact working in partnership with others. Together, we can do even more to fight hunger and feed potential for generations to come.
So we have a commitment to create 3 billion better days between now and 2025. 5 elements to that commitment. The first is to expand our hunger program, giving away 2.5 billion servings of food. And there's really 2 parts to this program. One is to make the food available, and the second is to help to fund the food bank system that enables to get that food to consumers who need it the most, when and where they need it. We were an early investor in food banks. They're an incredibly effective and efficient way of connecting food companies with people who need our food but can't afford it or don't have access to it. Unfortunately, in a number of countries around the world, those food banks don't exist. So we're making a commitment to help make the investments necessary to create those food banks, to connect food companies with people who need that food in these markets around the world. One example of that recently has been South Africa. The second area is feeding kids. Not surprising given Mr. Kellogg's legacy in giving back to children. We know that when kids go to school, if they don't have a good breakfast, they don't concentrate on what they're meant to be studying. They're thinking about where the next meal is going to come from. They're thinking about their hunger. By creating a program that will serve 2 million breakfasts to kids, we have the ability both to address hunger and to feed their potential so they can focus on studying and make more of their lives and more of themselves. To do this, we're creating breakfast clubs around the world. Some of these breakfast clubs are in developed countries such as the US, Canada, Australia, but a lot of these are in markets that are developing markets, like Brazil, Colombia, Egypt. One example, we are partnering with a school in Cairo to give away nearly 150,000 meals to kids as part of a school feeding program. So we're focused on hunger, and we're focused in particular on kids to ensure they can get the education that they need so they're not thinking about where the next meal is coming from. But it's not enough to feed people today. We have to ensure that we have a supply chain that can feed people tomorrow. And to do that, we're looking at the resilience and the sustainability of the agricultural system, working through the end-to-end supply chain. It was interesting to hear the discussions on food loss this morning. Clearly, the more that we can mitigate food loss, the more potential there is, the more income for farmers. We have a commitment to work with 500,000 farmers around the world to implement climate-smart agricultural practices. These practices will reduce the impact on the environment of greenhouse gas emissions, which is a major issue in the farming environment. They'll improve the resilience of the farming process, and they'll improve the income of the farmers. Although these farmers are smallhold farmers, women, they don't have the access to the information, the tools to have the impact. We talked about scale. How do we scale these sorts of ideas? Companies like Kellogg can help scale these sorts of programs. One example is working in the Philippines on rice. We're working with the International Rice Research Institute and the Philippines Department of Agriculture to improve the yields and improve the sustainability of rice farming in the Philippines. In that program, 80% of the farmers are women. The fourth area is volunteers and our employees. How do we create an environment where our employees give their time back to the communities around them? We have a goal of 45,000 volunteer days so our employees can give back and make a difference. One simple example is this week we have World Food Day. At the end of the week, we have a global food drive underway to gather food, raise food, and give it to that program. And then finally, leadership. How do we help bring people together? The comment this morning on the panel, if I had a wand I would wave, I'd make people work better in a team environment. We can do so much better together than we can do alone. We have a couple ways we can approach this. First, the Kellogg Company is not just a food company, we're a marketing company. We know that consumers care about their food. They care about where it comes from, they care about who made it, and they care that there's enough for everybody. How do we use our marketing programs to engage our consumers so they become part of the discussion and a part of the solution in the areas of hunger and sustainability? As part of our commitment, we're going to reach out to 300 million of our consumers and engage them in this discussion, in this dialogue, to use our marketing programs, to use our brands, to use our trusted position to include more people in this area. We know that people care, we just need to engage them and bring them along with us. Also, we're working with other companies, we're working with governments, we're working with NGOs. We know that if we work together, we can go so much further. There's an old African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And we have a long, long way to go. So we are committed to working across our supply chain, outside our company, outside industry, to go together and make a difference. One simple example here is our partnership with Oxfam. We first sat down with Oxfam. They had a long list of things that we could be doing to be a better company. And they were right. They redefined good for us. We're defining good here, they redefine it up here. Those sorts of partnerships, those opportunities to get a different perspective, enable us to make 1 + 1 = 3. Very powerful. So as a company, we are committed to making a difference. We're committed to feeding people. We're committed to feeding hunger today, as well as feeding their potential for tomorrow. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. I thank you for your time, and I really enjoyed the panel conversation this morning. I came away with a few ideas of what more we can do. Thank you very much.
That was terrific. Wow. John, thank you so much. That's terrific. This is going to be a day of seeing leadership of the food and agribusiness world and how dynamic, innovative it is. And so thank you again for that, for what you're